Hello, welcome to First Thoughts. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre,
I'm Caleb Shea.
and today we're discussing the weirdest titled film of the year, Expend4bles, or the Expendables 4, as they want us to call it. Well, they should have called it that. This is the fourth film in one of the most over-the-top, ridiculous action franchises in history, as well as inconsistent. You can throw that in there too.
Fully ever realize its potential. Put that one in there too.
It did once. One time it did.
One time.
This movie is not great. It's pretty ridiculous, very scaled down from its past counterparts, and forgettable, and also a huge fat cop out. So before we get into that,
also don't forget another case. We'll get into another case of way too much money for the shittiest looking CGI.
Yeah, it was actually kind of hilarious this time. It's like the helicopter looked like something out of a 90s computer game.
Yeah. I look, for sake of context, I can talk about a little bit about it if you want me to before we talk about the movie. But
yeah, go ahead.
I watched No One Will Save You on Hulu. Brian Duffield, our director, who did Spontaneous. I believe he wrote like Underwater and some other stuff. I'm kind of off the top of my head right now. Significantly smaller budgeted film. Deals with, this isn't giving anything away, but a home invasion with an alien invasion twist in it. That's a low budget film. Those aliens look 10 times better than anything that they were pulling off in fucking Expendables 4. Also, it was a way better film. Way better film. And almost no dialogue for 90 minutes. Unheard of in 2023.
Yeah, interesting. It has been a minute since we've done a First Thoughts, because in between Blue Beetle and this, there was nothing you really wanted to see.
I was not going to sit through the Nun 2 and Haunting in Venice, and I have fucking fulfilled that promise.
Well, we had a show once upon a time where we forced ourselves Clockwork Orange style to sit there and watch everything, and that just burned us the fuck out. So we don't want this to become that. So I think we're doing just fine.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I got to see a Clockwork Orange on the big screen last Wednesday, and that was really fun.
Oh, nice.
Weird, a entire theater full of film buffs weirdly laughing at a rape scene.
Yeah.
Anyway, The Expendables, Sylvester Stallone's brainchild, I guess. Seems like he was the guy spearheading this from the start. First film came out in 2010 to mixed reviews. The second film came out in 2012 to mixed reviews. The third film came out in 2014 to mixed reviews. And the fourth film just now to mixed reviews. And
mostly negative. I'm going to say that right now.
Yeah.
Mostly negative on this one.
Not a very strong mix. But, 16% on Rotten Tomatoes is a franchise low. Let's rank these fuckers. We've both seen all four films. I recently watched the first three just to get a refresher. It's been a minute. And at number 4. What is number 4 for you?
Oh, The Expendables 3. Now look, we all have our thing about this whole PG-13 of it all. Before I say this, I understand that Live Fear or Die Hard exists. I understand that, yes, that is a good film and I enjoy it, but I also argue that the unrated director's cut of that film that adds in back all the violence and the F-bombs is a stronger film. It is an actual Die Hard film. In this case, though, yes, the PG-13 rating and getting the younger cast never really sat well with me because it's the antithesis to what the franchise is supposed to be in this case. It's not meant for, young kids to go see. It's meant for the people that grew up watching these guys that want to take their kids to go see these, do their thing. That's what it's meant for. So for me, Expendables 3, it just does completely the opposite of what this franchise was supposed to be. I'll give it to Mel Gibson. He was really good as the villain. The action set pieces are still, for the most part, really, really good. I'm not going to say that they're bad, but it's just weird watching something that started out rated R. I'm not seeing the blood. I'm not seeing them do this, and they're getting placed with not just young actions, like younger stars, but very bland. Like I remember when I first saw it, none of the younger cast like popped at all for me, not one bit. The only one that popped was like Antonio Banderas, and I thought he was great, and Wesley Snipes was cool. But notice again, it was the older people, the people that like the whole point of this fucking franchise are the ones that popped, and the younger guys, not one bit.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'll have more to say about that film in a minute here. Number 4 for me is Expend4bles. I'm not. You're gonna throw a number in the middle of the damn title. I'm gonna say it. The only movie that gets away with that is 7. So this movie is just. It feels almost like a direct-to-video sequel. Like there's not a lot of effort put into this movie at all, outside of Jason Statham, who I think like actually had a legitimate arc that gets completely fucked in the end of the movie anyway. I don't know why 50 Cent's here.
I didn't know why half the new cast was here. They were just thrown into the movie with no fucking introduction.
No, none at all. And the plot is so generic. The bad guy is so painfully obvious. And
yeah.
And in the end, like the big reveal is so like, of course, I had a feeling it's the second Stallone, quote unquote, died. I was like, he's coming back. No way. They're not going to show us a charred to fuck body and just have that be the last time we see this character. So it's not even a surprise. But we'll get more into that. Yeah, I felt this was the weakest film of the franchise.
Okay, fair enough. You know what? That is actually my number 3. It's like the new Kill on the Block Expend4bles 4. I'm gonna say right now, 3 and 4. It's like with this franchise, these two are pretty much at the same level, and then my next two are at the same level.
Okay.
For how much I like them. Expend4bles, I'm with you. It's fucking forgettable. The CGI is goddamn atrocious. Yeah, they introduce all these new characters that like no introduction other than hey, a lot of stars want to come back because it's been like almost a decade since we made a sequel. That's the only reason they got. Well, they want to come back, or Terry Crews's very legit case won't do anything with this franchise because of the issue with the producer. He had. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Terry Crews didn't come back for Expend4bles 4 because I believe Stallone's agent or producer, someone tied to this franchise along with Stallone, not Stallone himself, assaulted and like harassed Terry Crews, and he said if you're not going to take him out of this, if he's still involved in this movie, I'm not participating for future sequels. They didn't take the producer or whoever off, so he stayed the fuck away. Which I give him credit on that one. So yeah, it's a lot of people that I'm like, who are you? I don't give a shit. And then getting some exciting additions like Iko Uwais from fucking the raid, along with his I think actually 2 of them from the raid, I believe. But kind of not really utilizing them all that well, in my opinion. And then like, yes, I'm with you. The Jason Statham arc was great. It was good to see him kind of lead it, but at that point it became less Expendables film and more like I'm just watching a Jason Statham film. So what the fuck am I watching,
Well, I remember I was reading up on this. There was a plan to do a Jason Statham spin-off movie that they were going to call A Christmas Story because his name is Lee Christmas. And I think they folded a lot of that into this movie.
I think they did because I apparently read that Stallone, there's a reason he's not in this film a whole lot more than story. A lot of creative differences mixed with him now doing a reality show and the Tulsa King and shit. So he might be kind of stepping away himself from this franchise.
Probably for the best.
Yes, but yeah, this became more of a Statham flick and less of a Expendables flick. I personally, I don't hate Megan Fox as a human being. She's not my favorite person in the world. I think her and MGK are absolutely perfect for each other. And I don't mean that in a nice way. But I wasn't bothered by her in the movie. I thought she was a decent enough addition to the cast. And yeah, like I'm with you. Like as soon as I watched, I was like, this guy's gonna be the fucking bad guy, isn't he? And sure enough, oh my god. Yeah, it's just there's a lot of issues I had with this. Some good stuff, like I said, Statham's great. It was nice to see the R rating come back and get some of that violence. Again, some of it was fucking CGI violence, especially a certain character's death at the end. And I'm like, are you serious? You're going to CGI that, you asses.
One thing that did make me laugh, there's a scene where a guy gets his head like beamed in by a thing on a passing train. And I
Yeah,
remember thinking like, weird that Mads Mikkelsen could easily survive that, but this guy,
yeah,
immediate decapitation. So
immediate.
yeah, go watch Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny for that incredulous moment of movie magic.
I just moved slower than I don't know.
Just yeah. Uh I do find Megan Fox just absolutely uh irritating, and I don't like her at all. I find her presence diminishes every movie she's a part of, and I don't I didn't want her in this at all. So yeah, I did. She the second she shows up just bitching, I was like, are you kidding me? Is she gonna be in here for a while?
What Megan Fox do to you, other than the stuff she accused Michael Bay of?
She's a terrible actress who keeps getting more work, who's never had a single good movie, and I don't understand it.
She has a lot of favor because of the shit she said about Michael Bay, apparently, and the Me Too movement.
Yeah. Well, I think she should just take the money and run and stop putting her 2 cents into franchises that I like.
Yeah, I used to think like she could do better than like MGK in her personal life. I was like, Megan Fox, you seem like a smart person. You can do better than MGK. Then that whole article came out about like how they met. She was like, he came to me and was like, I am weed, and disappeared. And that moment I was in love. I was like, nope, all right, you two are fucking idiots and perfect for each other.
She did a whole interview where she like talked about how much she believes in Bigfoot, and I'm like, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I want her to go away. I'm tired of seeing Megan Fox in anything.
Nope. She's about to be a power couple. But MGK, the guy in music we all want to go away, but he won't. So it's neither one of them are going away.
They are the genital warts of the film industry and the music industry, to quote Andy Garcia.
Yes. Weird that was a joke. I was like, I don't understand why this is. His initial reaction just, hey, how are your balls hanging there, Barney? I'm like, I don't care about Stallone's 70-something-year-old balls. I don't care. Don't give a shit.
We'll get more into that movie in a second here. What is I guess next is my number 3
Yes.
or number 2. I guess we're counting down.
Yeah, we're counting down worst to best. So.
All right, The Expendables, the first one. Number 3. Yeah, I don't know why I just suddenly blanked on all that. All right, number 3 for me is The Expendables 1. I love the concept. I don't love the execution for this movie. I think the plot is very generic. South American dictator, CIA rogue dude. Haven't seen that before. And I just think it's too serious. Like, this concept is so fucking ridiculous. You got to just double down on how insane this is. But I felt like the first film almost took it too seriously. You got Mickey Rourke, who's basically in a different movie, talking about how like he lost his soul when he was in the shit. It's like, why is he here?
That's Mickey Rourke, like post The Wrestler. That's just everything he does is that. Like he's in a far different film from everyone else every single time.
He's not even an action star. Like he did dramas in the 80s. Like he's not even. I don't get why he's here.
I think The Wrestler put a lot of goodwill, and then Iron Man 2.
He's a decent actor, but he's just not. I wouldn't throw like Dennis Quaid into this rotation either.
The last thing. It's the last thing I saw Mickey Rourke in, and this is and like points on the film. It was actually a really good movie. But a film directed by Mick Garris, Nightmare Cinema, a little anthology, low budget anthology horror film.
Mm-hmm.
That's the last thing I saw Mickey Rourke in. He played in the Wraparound Story.
Oh, good for Rourke.
Yeah.
My
Mick
uncle
has neither good nor bad things to say. I'll put it that way about him.
My uncle watched a football game with him on the set of Sin City: A Dame to Kill For.
Oh, nice.
When he was in full Marv makeup.
Oh yeah.
So like they were just watching the game on the set. My uncle was an extra, and Mickey Rourke is as Marv, and he's just like, "What's up?" Didn't want to talk, but was cordial,
Yeah.
My uncle's like a huge fucking Mickey Rourke fan, so he had a bit of a starstruck moment, and just kind of sat there like, "Holy shit," which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, this movie. I thought Eric Roberts was an odd choice for the bad guy. Like, I don't, the other
It made sense with his stardom in like the 80s and stuff. It made sense to me having Eric Roberts play like the bad guy.
fine, fine.
Well, you say your piece because this is my number two anyway. So
I just think it's kind of dull and too self-serious for what this is supposed to really be or what this was intended to be. So I've seen they figured it out eventually.
yeah. Well, this is my number two, Expendables 1. I understand this one's more serious. I get where you're coming from, but to me it works because this one, whereas two Onward was like, let's just have fun with the idea. This was almost like they were trying to emulate that aesthetic of 80s action films with these aging action stars in the lead. So for me, it worked doing that the first time. I don't think it would have worked had they kept trying to do it. Um, but I think as far as like trying to emulate that time period, I think they did a really good job. Yes, it is generic, but think about it. Half the 80s action films have absolutely generic as fuck storylines. And it was
Not at the
always
time. Not at the time. They became
at time.
generic over time because of the way the industry
But
evolved.
yes, and again, that's why it didn't bother me in Expendables, because like, okay, they're doing a storyline that had granted back then would have been fine. Like, how many 80s action films had some South American baddie wanting to do something, you know, and it was usually played by some damn American actor for some reason. Like, so that's why for me it didn't really bother me. I'm like, if anything, this is just emulating that time period. And that's why it didn't bother me that Eric Roberts was the bad guy. It just honestly it made sense to me. I was like, yeah, of course Eric Roberts be the fucking bad guy. Like, why not? Him having a bodyguard that looks like way too jacked and shouldn't be a bodyguard. Like, yeah, of course. That's all these 80s films had that shit. And then like I will say Mickey Rourke was really weird on place, and I see why he didn't show up for sequels. Um, but also I liked a lot of the action set pieces. I thought the set pieces were really good in the first film.
I'll give you that. The scene where like fucking Hail Caesar, all their names, walks in with like the automatic shotgun or whatever that is and just mows everybody down. I love the noise of that thing, and I love that it became like Arnold's gun going forward.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I said like
cool.
for me, like it emulates that period perfectly what they're going for before they said let's have fun with it. Um it the action set pieces are great. Again, I love, I gotta give it to them making an R-rated affair. And the camaraderie amongst that cast is fantastic, like seeing all these fucking guys in one movie. So I personally really like it. I do see where you're coming from, and I do think that had they kept this tone going forward, I don't think the franchise would have lasted as long. I think being too serious for so long would have wore thin with people. But doing it for the first film, I think was a smart choice for this one time only.
I don't get Dolph Lundgren's whole betrayal arc or like him being crazy and then that just stops in the next few movies. That didn't really make a lot of sense to me either.
That part doesn't make sense, especially because then when you get to 4, they try to bring it back, but for like one scene, and then like forget about it.
Yeah. There's that, and then I really don't like the Jet Li's character is named Yin Yang.
I don't like that Jet Li was never fucking fully utilized.
Oh my god, no, he's just there to crack the occasionally poorly acted joke because Jet Li's a hell of a fighter. He's a really terrible actor.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's mine. Next up for you is the Expendables.
Yeah, number 2 for me is the Expendables for all the reasons I said. Like I said, it. I think they did a smart move with what they did with 2 Onward. And if anything, that's what's kind of interesting. If you actually now think about it's weird about this franchise, and when I say like in a weird way, it's never really reached its full potential. To me, you have this first one that emulates it in a fun way that you have a good time with it. There's a second one that says like, let's just kind of almost lampoon this era. You just totally have like a fun day with it. 3, they go like, let's try to get the younger cast. Let's be that fun. We get the younger cast. I was like, no, no, no. And then 4th was like, let's emulate direct to video fucking sequels that like, no one wants that one. It's the reason we don't like those direct to video sequels.
Like part 5 is going to be a Voodoo exclusive or something.
Yeah, part 5 is going to be, I wonder how the next thing they're going to fucking lamp. Grant, if they even get that, apparently this new one did not do hot.
Yeah, I don't think so. Stallone did say it's the first of a planned new trilogy, so ambitious there. He did say it's the last time he's going to play Barney Ross.
So they should have kept a certain thing in the movie to make it.
Right? Like after hearing that, I'm like, well, then why the fuck didn't you just do it?
Yeah, especially because it seems like he is actively stepping away from a lot of his franchises. He's not Rocky anymore. You got Rambo Last Blood. Like now this, like he's stepping away from franchises and looks like he's going to TV exclusively between Tulsa King and his reality show.
Yeah, he wants to. I don't know why he's following in of all people's footsteps, Ozzy Osbourne, but whatever. You do you, Sly. You do you.
Yeah.
Uh, my number two is the Expendables 3, which I would never have thought.
Wow, you are a betrayer. Go
This
on.
this watch, I was hooked from the start. All right, so when I first saw this movie in 2014, I had not slept in a day and a half. I fell asleep at the theater, woke up towards the end of the movie, didn't know what was going on, and just said, like, all right, that was shit. But it's not really the film's fault that it was shit at the time for me. It was my fault because I didn't do it right. And I hadn't watched the movie since. So this watch was the really the first time I actually saw this movie. And I liked it. I love the idea of the bad guy being the guy who started the team with Sly and then betrayed him and became an arms dealer. And it's Mel Gibson hamming it up to 11, clearly, channeling some Martin Riggs in there and just being crazy. Love that. I love Harrison Ford's involvement. Kelsey Grammer was oddly charming. The scene where he tries to convince Sly he's dying, and he's just like, "That's bullshit. I made it up. I just wanted to see if you're still human."
Yeah, I do remember Kelsey Grammer and Ford were good choices.
Yeah, that was great. I agree with you on the new blood being unnecessary and really kind of taking the spotlight away from what this franchise was supposed to be.
Yeah, especially with that plot line, and they try to explain where he doesn't want his team to die because this is the one who started the Expendables. No, if anything, that's more reason to have me watch the older guys do it.
Yeah, and all four of the new people were terrible. What was it? Victor Ortiz, Kellen Lutz, Ronda Rousey, and Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell. None of you have had none of them who have had really super successful careers since this movie. And yes, I'm saying that knowing Glenn Powell's in Top Gun Maverick, but name any other film he's going to fucking be in now.
Okay. I don't really get why being in the UFC automatically qualifies you to be an action movie star.
I don't get that, especially because before that, all she did was Furious 7, I believe. No, that was after. It was after, I think.
Yeah, it was after. But it's not just her. I think isn't Victor Ortiz also UFC?
He was UFC.
Randy Couture, wasn't he?
Well, okay, see, that's where they should have done it more for this new installment, because what do all these action straight to video sequels like to do? Get these fucking goddamn UFC fighters with no goddamn acting skills into the movie, but hey, they can fight really good.
Okay. Also, Wesley Snipes, fucking adore Wesley Snipes. He actually said the word blade once. I got chills.
I did like the joke about tax evasion. That I did chuckle quite a bit when he said that. When you're like, "Oh, you're in show for tax evasion."
I like that. I kept thinking about Demolition Man. It's what's John Spartan and Simon Phoenix.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's for me what Expend4bles is it pisses me off so much that the potential was there for something really good had you just kept our rating, not the fucking studio with we need to get more people in. You clearly don't know the audience watching these films, especially because the first two were fucking successful enough. Why tamper with it? And had they just not tampered with that, had they gotten rid of the fucking young cast that spends most movie and hone in more on the Kelsey Grammer, Wesley Snipes, Antonio Banderas, all these other new guys they brought in along with the cast that was just popping off the screen, I would have liked it so much more.
I didn't like Antonio Banderas being just a talkative, annoying nuisance. I thought that was he's been underused in almost everything he's done outside of Desperado.
And apparently Puss in Boots.
Yeah, at least he got he got to shine in Puss in Boots too. But Indiana Jones, he was sidelined. Expendables, he was sidelined. It's weird.
Really weird. So that's what I can definitely see why they're going to bat for Expendables 3. It's just for me, it's a wasted potential. There was so much there for a solid finishing off of that trilogy. that got wasted with studio mandated. You need to do this, which I know. Again, I think which could explain why Stallone was probably like a little bit less active on this one. He's probably starting to get more fed up.
Yeah. Well, also, see, the PG-13 rating didn't really bother me that much because we still got a lot of action. There just wasn't blood shooting out of everybody.
I want the blood shooting out of everybody.
But it didn't bother me. Like, we still got, some great knife sequences. The battle between Sly and Gibson is pretty badass. Sly running up the fucking building as it's collapsing had me cackling.
Yeah, there's no way he would have survived that.
And I was just glued in and I enjoyed it. And I was surprised at that. So I number 2. And I think, we're both in agreement on what number 1 is.
Oh, it's where the franchise peaked. Expendables 2.
Expendables 2. Motherfucker, is this a cool movie?
They have yet to ever top this goddamn film. I don't know how they haven't. Like, they figured it out and then forgot what to do.
It is weird. Yeah, you get Jean-Claude Van Damme as a bad guy you just call Villain, which is the laziest shit I've ever seen. But it works because he's just he's clearly having a great time just being an obnoxious, slimy piece of shit.
Oh, yeah.
And seeing him fight Stallone, the Italian stallion and the muscles from Brussels kicking each other's asses was awesome.
And seeing him do the roundhouse, I think he did it twice, I believe.
He can still do that shit.
Yeah. I was like, damn, here we go, Van Damme.
Yeah.
I love the whole, I will cut his heart out. This fucking line reading in that film was great.
I love Van Damme throughout his entire career has never really known how to act. Dude can do the splits. He can roundhouse. That's awesome. But you give him dialogue and oh boy. But in this case, he was just, I love it. It's so over the top. When he roundhouses the knife into Liam Hemsworth's chest, I'm like, shit, that was cool. But also we get as much Liam Hemsworth as we can take, which is nice.
Exactly. And not what I'm about to have to experience with the 4 seasons of the fucking Witcher.
And then the coolest thing for me about this movie is the 3 biggest action stars of the 80s fighting together. Sylvester Stallone, Bruce Willis, and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Together for a full extended scene, just kicking ass together.
Kicking ass here and fucking trading off their one-liners.
Yeah.
I think was yeah. Oh, everyone else is like, I'll be back. And Schwarzenegger's like, no, you won't.
Yeah, you've been back enough. I'll be back. And then Arnold's like, yippee-ki-yay. And then fucking Chuck Norris walking in here and just mowing people down with no effort.
Yeah, and just clearly being on the pulse of the memes and just saying all the Chuck Norris jokes as his character. I'm like, oh my God.
He walks into frame in this movie with the fucking Good, the Bad, and the Ugly theme playing. What the hell is this?
It's goddamn Chuck
Norris. Not one person is like, oh, it's Booker. Everyone has, they're channeling their Ben Stiller, fucking Chuck Norris.
Yeah. And I think that's just, and I think the franchise peaked here for a number of reasons. With the third one, it was, from what I understand, with the rating and the younger cast, it was a lot of studio mandation because studios just never know when not to mess with something. And then with this newest one, because it took so long, again, we had a lot of issues with the main cast that either didn't want to come back. Bruce Willis' recent diagnosis, so he can't do it. So it's you have a lot of the time. Unfortunately, I don't think. I hate to say it. I think they need to leave it at Expend4bles 4. This ideal was only going to last so long because the ideal was aging action stars. They're old.
Except for Statham. He's 57 and still looks 28. I don't know how the hell he hasn't aged since Lock, Stock.
This is true.
Yeah. He should, I'd say have him take it over and then just, Dolph Lundgren will do this shit till he's dead. So I say let him lead the team and keep doing it. Make it more outrageous. And
shit, give it to try to get people we haven't seen this franchise for that we want, like Keanu Reeves. Maybe he might enjoy doing it if it's not as extensive as John Wick's action scenes.
Well, I heard that some of the people, Stallone's first choice for the villain for Expend4bles 4 was Jack Nicholson. He was trying to coax Jack out of retirement, and apparently Jack was seriously considering it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that would have been, Andy Garcia's okay. Jack is Jack.
Oh, so that would have been cool.
That would have been really neat. He wanted Carl Weathers. He wanted Kurt Russell. Like
Kurt Russell would have been great.
Kurt Russell would be kick ass in these. So like, I'm surprised they like still with 4 movies we still haven't had Jackie Chan.
I wonder how much how much of that is them trying to reach out and him maybe not wanting to do it. Because I get the feeling Jackie Chan's not as active when it comes to action films, at least in America. I don't know about over in China. In America, at least, I don't think he's doing as much.
Well, he does the occasional, direct to video thing, but yeah, you're right. He's not as limber as he once was.
Yeah, I mean, he's a lot.
But I mean, Jet Li is still he's in his like 50s, 60s.
Yeah, it's cool that like Stallone. It's good to know that like he's definitely keeping tabs on like both, people in this film like Kurt Russell, like icons of that era, along with obviously international. I mean, the fact that they talked to the raid guys kind of tells you that Stallone is a man that's keeping track somewhat of what's going on with other action stuff.
Yeah. I liked that Tony Jaa was in this, but I do feel like he was really underused.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Ong Bak, the Thai Warrior?
Yeah. Yeah, I have.
Fucking awesome movie. Like, really.
Oh, dude, it's so good. And also, how is Tony Jaa used better in Furious 7 than he is in Expend4bles 4?
I wouldn't say that.
He has better scenes in fucking Furious 7. Mostly kicking Paul Walker's ass.
I could kick Paul Walker's ass. That's not a big ask.
You know what I love real quick? What I really love about all these, like whenever these American action films get international like martial arts superstars in the films, I might exclude John Wick from this one. But in a lot of cases, it's like I watch these like Furious 7 and Expendables. I'm like, look, I get it, Stallone, Statham, you guys know your martial arts. I'm not saying you don't know your shit. Or Stallone, you know how to fight. Statham does know his own martial arts stuff. But you're trying to tell me that these guys from like the Raid, Tony Jaa, fucking Jet Li, like you can kick their ass? No. No. These are masters of their craft. They are fast, they are quick, and they will fucking destroy you.
That's the thing. Yeah, there's always that clause where like the hero of the franchise can't lose, which is some bullshit. Like put ego aside, and if you're gonna fight, Iko Uwais, who is so fucking lightning fast, like I can't even see him move really. No, like I love Statham, but he's gonna lose that fight.
He's absolutely like I love him, but he's going to lose.
Like a 20-year age difference too.
Yes, I'm like equally wise. Like you could tell in that scene, they had tone like, don't go fast, slow down. You got that one scene when he went like fucking quick on him. I'm like, yeah, see, if it was this, he'd be done, dude. He'd be going like that on you.
Like the most unbelievable scene in the entire John Wick franchise. I love all 4 movies, but the scene where he does take on 2 of the guys from the Raid, and like they're moving at like a fraction of the speed they moved in the Raid because Keanu Reeves, who's like 55, has to win this fight, but also keep up with them. And like, come on, man. Like,
yes. And yeah, luckily, like I exclude John Wick to an extent because they have such reverence for those types of films and for the martial arts movies.
Oh yeah, it doesn't feel like mockery or anything. It is just a little bit unrealistic.
But yes, even then, I remember watching John Wick 3 going, County Man, I love you and I love this character. But I think it was a Yayan was the one that was in John Wick 3. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that dude could kick your ass. Like he could annihilate you.
These guys are moving so fast that they got to like adjust the camera shutter speed to be able to pick up on it.
Yeah, it's fun. That's why I think actually, you know what? I'll give an exception to the recent Mortal Kombat film with Joe Taslim, again, also from the Raid, because they smartly just cast another Asian fucking action star to be like, yeah, fight each other.
Yeah, I'd love to see Chow Yun-Fat in one of these movies.
Oh, that'd be good.
Like as the bad guy?
Yeah. Again, though, they're going to be like, okay, hey, man, you got to slow down.
Well, I just want to see him whip out 2 pistols and jump down a staircase.
With doves.
Oh, yeah, Court, the doves are implied.
All right. But yeah, for the fun part of watching like them put international like martial arts superstars in these action flicks is like you're clearly having to slow down. Sometimes you get, like I'm sure someone like Trace Adkins, I'm surprised has not been, I think, in any of these films. He was in John Wick 4. They had a fat suit on him.
He was in something I watched recently. Was that not an Expendables movie?
Was he in one of them?
Let me look that
Look it
up.
up. But for those who don't know, he's not fat, but he had a big old fat suit on John Wick 4 when he went to go play the card game. Then they had that big fight. But he's a well-known martial like American, but well-known martial artist that I think could actually keep up with those guys.
Let me correct. Scott Atkins.
Scott Atkins.
Trace Atkins is the country star.
Whatever. Scott Atkins. God damn it.
It happened. It happened on last night when we were doing Whiplash. Austin was talking about Julia Fox from Uncut Gems, and he said Julia Stiles, and neither me or Adam said anything. And he had a moment of like, did I just say that?
I was gonna keep going, and I was like, but my mom was like, I don't think that's the name. That doesn't sound right. Scott Atkins.
Scott Atkins. I watched. What the hell did I watch that he was in? And I was like, oh, that's Scott Atkins. Expendables 2. Yeah, he's Jean-Claude's like right-hand guy.
That's right. Okay, yeah. He's probably someone that I don't think they'd have to like tell those guys to slow down. He'd probably keep up. But I know he actually does know his martial arts.
You think that in a legit fight, Statham could win that one?
Maybe.
What if there's a helicopter propeller very strategically placed behind Scott Atkins?
I just love like American cinema has us believe that look, as long as they're big and strong, they can destroy these guys because they're big and strong. I'm like, it's not about how big and strong you are. It's about how fast and fucking strategic you are in fighting.
The most unrealistic moment in action movie history, and I will go to bat for this, is the moment in Fast and Furious 7 when Dwayne Johnson just flexes off a fucking cast.
You don't do that.
Nothing will ever beat how fucking stupid that was.
Not that Paul Walker, who doesn't know how to fight at all, beat Tony Jaa. That wasn't unrealistic. It was more unrealistic than that.
Well, if we're being totally honest, it's Paul Walker's brother who beat Tony Jaa.
Jesus. Either way, they don't know how to fight.
Either way, yeah, no way. Tony Jaa, you watch Ong Bak and you're like there's no stunt doubles in that movie. He knows Muay Thai. He's kicking all that ass. And I'd be afraid to even touch that dude's arms. No, like lethal weapons, man. Like that guy's dangerous. Yeah, I was looking forward to seeing him in this, and he was just kind of this like weird guru dude who's like, I will not kill again. And then 10 minutes later, he's like, well, okay.
Yeah. He's like, I will kill again. And then he doesn't even really get great fight scenes with Statham. I'm like, all right.
I love how in every movie there's like this character who Barney has never mentioned, but who is like this huge influence on his life.
Barney has so many like besties throughout the 4 films we've gone.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So all right, let's address it head on. The big weird thing in this movie. Halfway through, Barney Ross dies in a plane crash, and Statham decides not to pursue the bad guy, but instead try to save his friend. Fails, and the entire team drops him, which is so out of left field and very against character.
Yeah, and look, by the way, by entire team, I mean like the 2 returning OG members and Dolph Lundgren and was it Randy Couture?
Dolph Lundgren and Randy Couture drop him, and Megan Fox takes over the team because okay, sure, why not? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then we got a bunch of new people that we just meet for this movie only.
And then 50 Cent's just there to disagree with everybody.
Yeah, and the most like glorified cameo where he gets a song PIMP plays in a scene.
That was him, right?
Yeah, that was his song.
I had a feeling
because it's on my phone, so I actually do like that song. But I was like, as soon as I heard play, I was like, "Are we really doing this right now? You're really playing a 50 Cent song in a movie he's in?"
We get to see Randy Couture piss open an escape route.
That was something.
There's a constant joke about the size of his dick
and his ear, which I thought we played out in like the first movie.
Yeah, his ear thing isn't even brought up in 2 and 3.
Yeah, and then they bring it back as like, yeah, he was a UFC fighter, got hit in the ear a lot. It's a very common fucking symptom when you do that kind of work.
Yeah, you punch something, you punch somebody in one spot for long enough, there's going to be a contusion.
Yeah, it's gross to look at, but it's his ear. It exists.
So Statham goes off the deep end because he's been abandoned by his team. His best friend is dead. He feels guilty for it, and he decides to just Statham expression his way through this.
So it's one expression the whole time.
He internalizes everything. He does have the moment where he's like, he wasn't my friend, he was my brother. And I was just thinking of Tropic Thunder. Yeah, you're my brother.
Statham is really lucky that dude like oozes charisma on screen and it's a really good like fighter. So it's fun to watch his action scenes because my God, does he just like he's just like I'm just going to internalize everything and not actually show you my emotions. I'm sure. I wonder if someone went, no, we need you to show. He's like, no.
And then so he decides to go on the mission himself after everybody else decides to go on the mission. And Megan Fox is doing a debriefing, and they're all like, "You're not saying it like Barney said it," because they're like toddlers.
They're in like their fucking 60s,
yeah,
50s. Stallone was in I think in his 70s now.
And there's that little moment where like, I don't remember who said, I think it was Randy Couture or Lundgren, where he's like, "This Ocelot guy, they thought it was Barney, but it's not Barney, I tell you." Like that made me think, like, is Stallone going to show up at the end of this as the bad guy? Like, is he going to be this like arms? He's basically going to be Mel Gibson.
Yeah, we're going to redeem Expend4bles 3, but not really.
Yeah, but no. Instead, it's Andy Garcia, who we all kind of figured. I was like, in my head, I'm like, it's either Andy Garcia or a resurrected Stallone. And
oh yeah, as soon as I heard CIA and like his intro to the scene was like again like, hey, how they're hanging, and then Stallone gravity's taking. I'm like, I don't care. I went, this guy's probably gonna come out as a bad guy. He's CIA. He's somehow gonna be the bad guy. It always happens in these action films.
Yep, the CIA guy is always the bad guy.
Yeah, because they can get money off whether the fuck's actually going on.
Yep. And before Statham defeats Iko Uwais with an axe, which was like cool, but also completely unbelievable.
Yeah. Again, Iko Uwais would have pummeled his ass. You got it briefly when you did the fast kicks on the fast punches on him. And I'm not gonna lie, I almost like lost in the theater for like a second because of how much I love the Raid films. I was just like, oh, and then the scene ended, and I was like, oh, all right.
I apparently saw this movie with the Joker because there was a guy who was cackling during all of the most outrageous moments. Like, Statham kicked the axe into Iko's like chest, and this guy just went like, like ridiculous, over the top cackling. It was insane. Oh, and there were only like 8 people in that theater, so like you could kind of tell who it was.
Jesus Christ.
Guy was having a good time. But yeah, Andy Garcia is like, it's me, and then kills a bunch of people, even though like he's been trying to keep this a secret for a very long time. And Stallone comes up out of nowhere in a helicopter, blasts Andy Garcia to pieces, completely misses Statham somehow, despite the fact he was standing right behind Garcia.
Yeah, Salem should have died. Also horrendously CGI'd. Like the helicopter coming up in the fucking Garcia's death. I'm like,
makes me question if Stallone was even on set.
I was he? And God, and look, okay, I gotta say it. This goes back to the argument we've had all year. Why is it these high budgeted fucking films are coming out with the shittiest looking CGI? Like, god damn, like, what are you putting your money into? It wasn't Stallone because he was only in the fucking beginning and end of the movie.
Yeah. So Statham runs off this ship that's about to be nuclear detonated.
After a fake out of us thinking he's going to sacrifice himself.
Yeah. Make my sacrifice matter. And then the rest of the team mocks him for that.
Yeah.
He jumps into the helicopter. The helicopter flies away, and the ship explodes underwater. Nuclear explosion looks a little smaller than it has in the past. And everyone's just like, "Oh, Barney's alive. Cool, let's go get drinks." Yeah. Like, if my best friend just like died painfully, horribly, and I thought I was responsible for it, and then it turned out they weren't dead. They were just trying to smoke out an enemy. I would not just be like, I knew it. Yeah, whippersnapper. You motherfucker. You got me.
You got me. I Also, like, what is it with like these movies and nuke explosions? Like, can we
Because
talk
that's the
about that?
highest
Like,
stake you can get is a nuclear blast, I
I
guess.
know, but can we just talk about the ramifications of like letting a nuke just go off in the ocean as if that's not going to radiate?
Oh no, like this is basically, I mean, that what was that? Russian waters? Like you still nuked Russian waters.
Yeah, you still have radiation now in that area of the ocean.
How many how many
People would
fish are going to
die.
be how many radiated fish are going to be caught and sold in markets? Like you just caused millions of potential deaths.
Yeah, I was like, this is not the happy ending you think.
If Godzilla shows up in part 5, it's all worth it.
No, we had that.
I watched
Speaking
the
of
hell out
Godzilla,
of the Expendables versus Godzilla.
no, just get that comic book that's coming out that I'm totally getting the Justice League versus Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah, but if I with that I got to like turn the pages super fast for it to look like a movie.
Oh my
The
god.
movie, I can just watch the movie.
What is this? A fucking Captain Underpants book?
They
Like
turn the pages for me. I don't. The Laugh-O-Rama happens all by itself.
Speaking of Godzilla, now talk about a movie that looks good and a company that apparently put all the money into the CGI. Godzilla minus one. Holy shit.
Godzilla -1, negative Godzilla. Now we're talking. I'm in. I'll go see it. Knowing with being surrounded by draft houses, one of them will pick it up. Probably.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
Yeah.
But yeah, this like I will forget, and then like the whole weird opening scene of Barney wanting to get his ring back, and then Stallone talking about like, oh my back. I'm like, is it because you're getting older there, Stallone? You can't do the action scenes anymore.
I think he
Like
was making a joke about carrying this franchise. I think he thinks he's been carrying this franchise.
or either that or no, I think it was the first movie. He actually had to go to the hospital because they had that one stunt where the guy like slammed him to a wall, and he actually did it and like fucked his back up. He was in the hospital after that.
All these macho dudes think they're who they're playing. They're not. It's ridiculous.
No, well, I mean now Stallone's on a fucking reality show, so you know.
How about we talk about Barney's casual murder of that bar guy?
Yeah, this is supposed to be characters we like, and if I recall correctly, they just haven't really murdered people unless it's people as part of the mission, like
no, this guy,
mercenaries.
His crime was he won Barney's ring in a card game, and that's it. And Barney drugs him, puts him in a plane, and lets him die in a plane crash. Lets him wake up mid crash and then die horribly as a charred corpse so he can fake his own death. Which nobody, I guess, looked at the dental records on that thing or anything.
Yeah, and no one seemed to give a shit that he just fucking killed a guy.
Statham was like, classic Barney.
Yeah, I'm like, are we just now trying to say that these guys aren't exactly good guys? Like they will kill someone that isn't a part of their life.
I kind of just assumed that from the get-go that these guys were monsters. You can't snipe 100 people and not be a bit of a masochist.
This is true. And then, yeah, that was weird. The whole, again, so I guess that the whole plot line was like Dolph Lundgren's character is sober, but he can't make his shots anymore. So then he has that scene where he jugs alcohol and he's like, it's good to be back, but we see him shoot like one dude and that was it.
That was a very bad message.
It's a bad message, the most anticlimactic shit. Like, okay, we're going to see Dolph Lundgren fuck some people up. Nope. No, we are not.
You're going to chug a flask and shoot one guy and then just be like, ha, got my powers back. Like, that's bad. You never have the message of like, hey, if you're trying to quit substance, like it's going to erase the specialist part of you. So you might as well get drunk.
Yeah, like might as well get drunk. This one had a lot of weird jokes though to me. Like a lot of jokes that just were weird. Like I said, like the whole thing about Randy Couture stick when she does like the pinky thing, and like he's like, oh, it's a lot bigger than that, honey. And the guy's like, no, she's flicking you off, dude. And then she tries to like peek a look when he's pissing, and all of a sudden just gets like heavily invested in him when he gets stabbed. I'm like, where did this come from? Is this also so like to pay off the joke about his fucking dick right now?
I don't know. I always assumed in this franchise that like Jet Li was Randy Couture's dick. But yeah, whatever. I guess not. Where has he been, by the way, Jet Li? Like not just in this franchise, but like in general.
I guess not doing movies for America. That's a good question.
I don't I don't know. Maybe he retired. Well, Expendables 4 sucks. Don't go see it.
Yeah, it look, for as long as we waited for this movie, it feels like even the fucking creators forgot about it. Like this was a very
It
forgettable movie.
it does not feel like it's been 9 years since the third movie. Like I don't know where that time went or like what was keeping this movie from coming out. Uh I'm glad they didn't go with the all-female spin-off they were going to do, the Expend4bles.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I do think that would have been a cool idea if they had pulled it off when this franchise was stronger.
Do
But now it's like,
do an all-female action movie, sure, but don't call it the Expend4bles.
yeah, that part I didn't really like the title for it. It's kind of like I think how John Wick's doing their spinoff at the ballerina. They're doing it at the right time. Like John Wick 4 was a huge fucking hit. So like, yeah, hey, if we're done with the mainline franchise, even though Lionsgate's actively trying to, but it sounds like the ball is in Keanu Reeves' court with a fifth movie, so we might get lucky.
I think John Wick is what killed the Expendables franchise.
I think so too. We got better action films if we're being honest.
Expendables 3 came out in 2014, same as John Wick, but then John Wick showed that, with a little care and actual, prep, you can make something truly awesome. And then they kept doing that.
Yeah. And like I said, they're kind of doing the same thing. Like they have the female led spinoff coming out. Well, it's supposed to be next year. We'll fucking see about that now. um, But and I'm excited for it because how much I like the fourth one. I'm like, yeah, let's bring it on. Give me an Ana de Armas starring fucking movie in the John Wick universe. I liked her in the recent James Bond movie. Hell yeah, bring it on. I'm down. They're doing the Continental spinoff, which I watched first episode and I liked it more than the critics apparently liked it. But yeah, I do. I don't get me wrong, like overall with this franchise, like I like the first two. I'll go back to the first two time and time again. I just feel like after the first two, it just really lost its way of what they were trying to make this franchise to be.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been able to regain it since. It peaked really early, basically.
I agree. Well, hopefully this is the last one because Expendable 5, as I guarantee you they're gonna turn the S into a 5, is probably going to suck even harder. And I can't really name anybody who.
Expendables 5, The New Blood.
Oh my god. That was 3 though.
They're going to act like that didn't happen.
Well, yeah, clearly.
Expendables 5. It'll be like getting when they did all those Marine sequels. And we just keep getting some wrestler or fucking UFC sort of star.
Well, if it's John Cena, he might be the guy to save this.
Honestly, probably.
Yeah.
He would make this fun.
That's our show. Go see it if you want. I don't think it's going to be in theaters very long. It got obliterated by The Nun 2 again.
Yeah, I got obliterated Nun 2, but got obliterated by critics pretty bad. I don't know many people that even really knew this was coming out or cared. A lot of people, when I told them, like, hell yeah, I want to go see the Expendables, I got a lot of, there's a new one out, like, I think the general audience is pretty done.
I don't recall ever watching a trailer, honestly.
I saw it a couple for like maybe 2 movies I went to theaters for. That was about it.
Well, next week, Saw 10, Saw X, Sawx, whatever you want to call it. It's finally here, and we are going to do a big ass thing with Saw. We're very excited.
Yeah, I've been doing a rewatch. I've already made it through like 8 of the films. I just have Spiral left. So
I'm on Saw 5. I will be recommencing that rewatch this week. I paused it for the Expendables rewatch that I did for this. It's time to go back to Saw. I'm very excited. The Creator also comes out. Gareth Edwards' new sci-fi drama, which looks very similar to Terminator